Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, as part of Module 27, Chapter 1, we're unpacking a massive misconception in the world of environmental management together. I want you to think about this for a second. Does collecting a mountain of environmental data mean an organization is actually improving the environment? Well, if we look through the lens of an ISO 14001 lead auditor, the answer is often a resounding no. So today, we're going to dig into ISO 14001-2026 Annex A, and we'll discover exactly how auditors separate the organizations that are just going through the motions from those making a genuine, measurable impact. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Decoding Annex A. 9. 2. Meaningful measurement. 3. Evaluating legal compliance. 4. The management review. And finally, 5. Assessing adequacy. As we unpack all of this, here is the absolute core question you have to ask yourself. Are we actually measuring environmental impact, or are we just counting activities? It's honestly so easy to fall into the trap of superficial compliance, just checking boxes and counting meetings without changing anything in the real world. Annex A.9 is specifically designed to cut right through that noise. All right, Section 1, Decoding Annex A.9, the Interpretive Bridge. While the main clauses of ISO 14001 provide the strict rules, Annex A.9 acts as the interpretive guidance. It clarifies how an environmental management system, or EMS, actually functions in the wild. Basically, it ensures that an EMS isn't just some dusty binder sitting on a shelf solely for audit day. No, it has to be a living system that achieves true sustainability through rigorous performance monitoring, compliance evaluation, and genuinely meaningful management reviews. Moving right along to Section 2, Meaningful Performance Measurement, Activity versus Outcome. There is a huge difference between an activity and a performance outcome. Think about it. Counting something like 10 environmental training sessions held is just an activity metric. It literally just tells us people were busy. But a performance outcome, that looks more like a 20% reduction in volatile organic compounds, or VOC emissions, which are those harmful gases emitted from certain chemicals and solvents. Auditors want to see that training actually led to better controls in cleaner air, not just a full calendar. And we have to consider the reality business growth. If a business is absolutely booming and producing more goods, while total absolute energy consumption might naturally go up. But what's really interesting here is how Annex A.9 encourages organizations to use normalized indicators. By tracking the energy used per single unit of production, you can prove true environmental efficiency. Even if total output spikes, a downward trend in energy per unit proves to an auditor that environmental controls are continuously improving. But listen, none of those metrics matter at all if the underlying data is flawed. You can't just guess. Auditors look for hard, concrete evidence. Proper monitoring equipment, strict calibration to recognize standards, and scientifically valid sampling procedures. If a continuous emissions monitor hasn't been properly calibrated, the data it produces is completely useless for making any kind of critical environmental decision. Okay, Section 3, Evaluating Legal Compliance, the Legal Reality. Annex A.9 insists that compliance evaluation isn't just theory. Take a strict regulatory requirement, like legal limits on wastewater pH. An auditor maps this directly to evaluation evidence. They don't just want to know you're aware of the law. They want to see the daily monitoring logs and independent lab verifications that prove the law is being met continuously, day in and day out. And this really reveals the core philosophy of Annex A.9. Compliance is a dynamic, structured determination. It's not a static register that someone updates once a year. The whole goal is to see a system that detects potential deviations way before they become actual violations, rather than watching a company scramble reactively after an environmental incident has already made the evening news. On to Section 4, the management review, the boardroom connection. Annex A.9 creates this really clear data-to-decisions funnel. It starts by collecting reliable operational data, checking that against compliance and performance, and then crucially flowing that evaluated data all the way up into the executive review. Raw data absolutely shouldn't sit in a silo somewhere. It has to reach top management so it can actually spark strategic corporate action. So, what actually goes into that executive review? Top management must review performance trends. They need to know the exact compliance status, track objectives, and review internal audits. Annex A.9 makes it crystal clear. The management review is a critical governance activity. It's not just a meeting where executives sit around and nod along, it's the engine for resource allocation and strategic improvement. Finally, Section 5, Assessing Measurement Adequacy, the Auditor's Final Judgment. This quote right here captures the absolute essence of the text. Adequacy is not determined solely by the presence of metrics. It's determined by relevance, accuracy, consistency, and usability. It's like you could have a dashboard with 50 different dials, but if the information isn't usable for decision-making, or if it doesn't reflect your actual environmental impacts, it simply isn't adequate. Ultimately, an auditor is looking for hard proof that a system is actually evolving. To prove adequacy, performance indicators must be linked to significant risk profiles. You have to use life cycle thinking, looking beyond the factory walls to how raw materials are even sourced. Data must be analyzed for root causes. It's all about creating a proactive plan where the system constantly learns from its own data. So, the ultimate takeaway? 100% integration. Environmental measurement absolutely cannot be a side project managed by one person in a back office. It has to inform decision-making at literally every single level, from the operator calibrating a sensor on the floor, all the way up to the CEO approving a new green tech investment. The entire loop has to operate as one cohesive whole. Let's finish up with a provocative thought that really gets to the heart of this. If your environmental metrics stopped updating tomorrow, would your executive team even notice? Because honestly, if the answer is no, your data isn't driving decisions and your measurement system isn't adequate. True environmental governance means performance evaluation is indispensable. Thanks so much for uncovering Annex A.9 with us on This Explainer.